like right now, if I was 26, I would have 100% found myself in the throes of this kind of shit. Okay. But the reason why I'm very knowledgeable on it is because I've been covering this stuff for years. And also, I don't even have a problem admitting, like, if I was a part of this, I wouldn't have a problem admitting that at all. I often talk about how one of the most important aspects of one of the most important things that I believe in is the concept of, you might call it ascension. I call it rehabilitation. Okay. Changing yourself. I believe in self-improvement. It's a big part of my worldview. It's a big part of what guides me. It's a big part of what motivates me. It's a big part of what I try to instill on others. Okay. You can call it ascension if you want to call it that. In any case, but this is a person whose entire content revolves around looksmaxing. ED is eating disorders, chat. Looksmaxing. Changing the way you look in an effort to ascend to being a Chad. What is this? The clip of him and Bradley is so funny. He put his titty on his shoulder.
Do, boys? You're about to go out. I haven't been to the gym in about 3 weeks, so hence the lack of gains. Ed's gambling in the back. But essentially what you're going to want to do, fellas, is tape this to your delts so that you actually look like you have a little bit of size on you when you're like me and all you're doing is partying all the time and not lifting.
Yeah. I saw a clip of you putting, like, I don't know, on your shoulder
pads,
bro. That was, I'm not gonna lie, that was the gayest thing I've ever saw, though.
That's gay.
That's so.
How is that gay?
Because it's like,
but it gets you a result.
I don't think it's gay, and I'm stealing this from a doll I saw on my For You page, but it's objectively, it's trans. It's like there was this, it's drag, but also beyond drag, because they take hormones and stuff too. Is kind of giving trans. And before people get mad at me for saying this, I mean, it is quite literally gender affirming care to a degree that is unsustainable and unhealthy. Okay. I would say that gender confirmation for trans people is very healthy. It helps you avoid suicide, things like that. Makes you more comfortable in your own skin. Whereas these guys are basically breaking their brains through gender affirming care. Yeah, he is a male to male trans man, trans mask. Okay. And it's beyond reason. It's beyond being healthy in general. It's just like, this is the unironic, unhealthy version of what conservatives claim trans people are doing. This kid is 19 years old and he's so obsessed with ascending in this completely made up tier structure. Okay. Completely made up tier structure, this hierarchy that he abides by. At the age of 19, he looks like he's in his 30s almost. I mean, he looks young and old at the same time. And apparently he's like microdosing methamphetamines, like not even Adderall, straight up crystal meth. How are you going to take your shirt off in front of a girl and have your shoulder titties fall out? Yeah. And of course, as he got more and more popular on TikTok, he got a kick contract. And as soon as he got a kick contract, he got way more racist. There was one big initial racist moment where he had, they asked him about how he feels about Marlon. You guys know Marlon. He's the FaZe adjacent content creator. He's a model. I've played basketball with him before. He's an athlete. He's a decent guy. I like him, right? He's a very handsome fellow. And he was asked about whether or not Marlon was a Chad or something. And his response basically was like, oh, he would be a Chad, but he's black. And that's when everyone was like, what the f*** do you mean he'd be a Chad but he's black? Like, what? That sounds a little racist. And after that, he started collaborating with Nick Fuentes, doing all this shit, right? And leaning into it. And then he actually blew up even further from that. And then he got a kick contract, and now he says the N-word all the time. I don't know if Jarvis covers all this stuff, so I just wanted to give you the proper backstory. Okay? And if anyone has like the actual tier lists of BP in the looksmaxing community, I would love to explain it to you guys. But the incel term for black chads is Tyrone. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the looksmaxing community initially came from like bodybuilding forums, but it took a life of its own in the right wing incel sphere, and it's very, very racist. This is the reason why there's like also a mass adoption of the term physiognomy, like the shit you see all over the internet now. TikTok basically normalized and mainstreamed a lot of these different cultural variants that were relegated to the dark rooms of the internet, you know, forums and things like that. Now it's all over. If I could give you a day off for the mere knowledge of this shit, I would. No, I mean, I know all about this stuff. There are older videos of me checking the lookism website for like all the way back in like 2018, 2019, because they would talk about me all the time on there to be like, oh, this guy he's like a natural Chad or something. I don't know, but they were very mad about my politics even back then, and they still are. In any case, yeah, they called you a Chad, but also an F slur, yeah, and there are different variants of Chad. There's Chad Light. There's Chad. Mogging is something that you guys need to understand. Like when you mog someone, you're looking better than they are. I wonder if there's like an actual like is there a like a library where we could just like click on like a Wikipedia or something that I can like show you piece by piece. But yeah, they do like buccal fat removal. They do numerous things. Mewing, jaw smashing. There are so many different ways of trying to change the way that your face looks, basically, and the way that your body looks as well. There's got to be an incel wiki, right? Incels.wiki, is that what it is? Yeah. Inceldom pride flag. Now, it doesn't, this movement, this community basically both takes itself very seriously, but also not serious at all. Its entry point is all jokes, right? Is all jokes, is all memes. But then the more you go along, the more you fall into this pipeline, the more seriously you take it. And clavicular is basically a creature of this movement, right? Suffix denoting involuntary celibate, used in the formation of the words gym cell, height cell, bald cell, work cell, wrist cell, etc. Maxing is an effort to improve aspects of one's life, to secure sexual and or romantic intimacy, maximize it, used to denote self-improvement in general. A lot of these guys are very autistic, if you couldn't tell from this like decently put together Wikipedia for incels. Mogged, suffix indicating being dominated by another person. The stem word denotes the feature that one is being dominated by, derives from the PUA term amog, alpha male of the group. Deliberately trying to humiliate, otherwise dominate others, was advocated as a form of increasing your perceived social value of women by pickup artists. This usage later morphed to refer to any feature that supposedly contributes to the perceptions of social dominance in general. Now, a lot of this stuff I also insincerely and as a joke utilize as well. Some of this stuff is very funny. The difference is I don't take this stuff seriously. I don't think that this stuff is good. I think it's actually poisonous, especially for a lot of young men. Okay? Height mog, being dominated by another man's height. Wrist mog, being dominated by a man's thicker wrist. Skull mog, being dominated by a man with a better shaped or bigger skull. Akabusa mogged, being dominated by a man of Chris Akabusi-like prowess. I don't know what the this is. Dolph mogged, the hardest of mogged. It means an individual got dominated by Dolph Lundgren and is now facing a proverbial decision to leap or not to leap. Leaping is suicide. Suey pill is one of the, speaking of suicide, the black pill is supposed to be, the end of that journey is suicide. Pill refers to embracing a type of philosophy or world view coined by the movie The Matrix, where the character Morpheus gives the protagonist Neo the option to either accept his harsh reality by swallowing a red pill or to go back to being connected to the Matrix, a comforting illusion, by swallowing the blue pill. This analogy spawns several terms that use the word pill as a suffix to denote different realizations or world views. Obviously, you know what red pill is. In regards to involuntary celibacy, confronting the idea that exchanges of material value largely drive one's mating success, as opposed to abstract concepts like love, and that female hypergamy limits the majority of men's sexual success. A guy like Undead Chronic is a good example. Okay? Blue pill, the preference of believing in a comforting or convenient lie, especially when it concerns a person's worldview. In regards to involuntary celibacy, This essentially refers to attitudes that minimize the role of individual differences such as physical attractiveness or social constraints in driving human mating successes in favor of platitudes such as "you'll find someone one day" and the like. This is why a lot of people in the incel orbit despise the kinds of commentary that I engage in whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, because they consider that to be, oh, you're just like trying to blue pill your audience. You're trying to make them into normies or whatever the fuck, right? And the reality of the matter is, a lot of these concepts are unimaginably reductive and put you on this journey of unnuanced thinking. It's for dumb people. It's for dumb people to LARP as though they've arrived at a hidden truth. Okay? Yes, my main premise, my main plank in my ideology, my worldview is that everyone can be a 7, which is the polar opposite of their main ideological idea, that you have genetic predetermination. You are slotted into a specific place in society through your genes. This is also another thing that really pisses off a lot of people. And for the record, the reason why I say this is unnuanced thinking is because there is some truth to the obvious preferences that dating partners have in terms of, you know, your material possessions or your physical attributes. Of course, that's normal. Everyone does that, okay? The difference is these guys treat it as a zero-sum game. It's either one or it's either or. They look at it as a binary, which is stupid. It's unnuanced, okay? That's not how human beings operate. It's very black and white thinking. And unfortunately, as many autistic chatters know in this community as well, unnuanced or black and white thinking is a primary function. Unfortunately for all of us, we do love engaging in this binary mode of thinking and get very heavily invested in one side of an argument over the other. Whereas the truth in this circumstance especially is somewhere in the middle. Of course, if you are 5'4" as a male, you are going to have a harder time than someone who is 6'4" as a male in terms of dating preferences. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to find anyone, okay? And as a matter of fact, if you consistently lean into how much of a setback this is, how much of a genetic setback this is, and allow this to dominate your existence, you're going to be less likable. But a hurdle does not mean it's impossible to climb, okay? Anyway, but that is part of the reason why I despise this kind of fatalistic, depressed way of thinking, because black pill, which is the maximum version of this, or Sui pill basically is the last part of this, but black pill is a fatalistic, depressed version of the red pill, particularly one focused on external solutions as opposed to individual ones, or on the importance of physical attractiveness in driving men's dating success. Purple pill, the stance of being neutral or on the fence in regards to gender relations. I didn't even know that was a thing. White pill, the acceptance of the black pill when one seeks to assimilate black pill knowledge to either improve your life or find ways of coping with being a male that is disadvantaged by factors the black pill discusses. The term has also been used by some to refer to the negation of the black pill, i.e. another form of the blue pill. Pink pill, femcel version of the black pill that either inverts several black pill claims, accusing men of being the hypergamous sex, or otherwise asserts that women are disadvantaged in the dating market vis-a-vis men, a femcel philosophy. Yeah. Motivation. Fuel is also motivation for something. Life fuel, inspirational, motivating, induces warm emotions. Sui fuel or suicide fuel, depressing, demotivational. So I'm not going to get into all of this stuff, but you know, we already covered some of it. Many of this also goes into like, way deeper and insane territory, some of which you already know, like beta males. Becky is a moderately attractive female, not as attractive as Stacy. There is this there's this hierarchy in everything. Okay. There is this hierarchy in everything, but the guiding principle of this hierarchy, okay, or just the fact that there is this sort of hierarchy at all, even though human beings are very complex and offer imperfections and have mastered certain things that might be perceived as putting you in a higher status in the dating world or whatever. A lot of these guys, when they lean into incel, lean into this this genetic predeterminist mostly outdated psych terminology. Okay. And it guides every waking moment. It dominates their entire, it dominates their whole lives. It dominates their worldview. It basically bricks their brain into believing this completely self-imposed hierarchy that they're a part of. And a lot of it also revolves around one of the least changeable aspects, your skull shape. And that's where you kind of start to realize how much of a phrenologist attitude these guys have. It's perfect partnership with fascism for this reason. It's pseudoscientific, it's very stupid, but it's also kind of welcoming for a lot of people who actually want to take the black pill and then say, no, there's nothing I can do about this, right? There's nothing I can do about this. The system was designed far before I ever had a say in it, and that I look the way that I do, and there's nothing I can do to change it. I have no hope. That's what being black pilled is. And it's all about aesthetics, okay? Please tell me they have a bunch of opinions on dick size. Of course they do. BBC theory. This theory argues that blacks are in fact quintessential of masculinity and sex appeal. Some white cells who have failed in their home country see blacks as succeeding and adopt the belief that it's better to be black than white on the dating market. They talk about black people's penises all the time, literally nonstop. What do you think a lot of the cuck porn is? Can we close the incel wiki before you're baited into reading it? What do you mean? I've been reading it nonstop. I've been reading it to explain all this stuff to you. So, yes, there is definitely a homoerotic tendency there as well. But in any case, where was I? So this previously like 4chan culture that was designed to be discussed in forums blew up all over Twitter. I have time and time again talked about the dangers of this becoming more mainstream. And at this stage, it is incredibly mainstream. Okay. Some people adopt the language as a joke, as a meme, myself included, because there's, funny little quirks. Oh, I just mogged this person, right? Like you say it without truly believing in it. But there are plenty who actually go down the rabbit hole and adopt this framework and basically make it their whole lives. Clavicular is one of those people. He is a creature of this worldview. And his entire goal has been, very openly, to ascend, the concept of ascension, okay? Now, here, I'm clicking on the glossary. What is ascension? That is when an incel moves on to get laid or to gain a relationship. In some instances, it refers to an incel improving their SMV, sexual market value, dramatically, generally argued to be a prerequisite for ascending in the first sense. There's also this tier structure that they have. I don't know if there's like an easy to, face theory, face law. The theory that face is the most important and overshadows all other qualities when it comes to dating. God, they really think life is like a RPG? Yes. If these guys put half as much effort into being normal people as they did into this shit, unironically solve some of their problems. Yes, that's the whole point. They have this self-imposed caste structure, a caste system that they have for themselves, and they live and die by it. And the ones that are aspirational, at the very least, are like the ones that are trying to engage in like self-improvement of some sort, are still doing it in this like very deeply unhealthy way. And it's really interesting because it's like even when you're going to the gym, you're not doing it to like improve your body or your mental health. You're doing it to like looksmax. You're doing it to gym max. It's very stupid. Anyway, and every step that you take in that direction, you still unironically take in a negative fashion. You're basically bricking your brain across the board, even when you're supposed to be doing something that's a real self-improvement journey. But yeah, it's a deep, dark well of despair. So let me see if I can find the tier system at all in here. Yeah, because there's the high tier normie. There's the N-word, obviously. Normie is an average, everyday, boring person. Sometimes used to refer to people that are average in looks in contrast to a Chad. An incel, a high tier normie, refers to a person who's above average in attractiveness, but not as attractive as a Brad or Becky. A low tier normie refers to a person who is below average in attractiveness. And yeah, both men and women are tiered in this structure. And it's not a regular like 0 to 10 system that, you know, people used to use back in the day. Okay. Is it ranked or casual tier list? No, it's all casual. These are all open servers. If you want to get down to it, I would say that the ranked tier list would be like, I don't know, Hollywood or like the modeling, like high MMR, high ELO lobbies is like, you know, Fashion Week Paris. That's the highest ELO server you can be in, you know? You're playing in a very competitive server at that point. So good way to drive yourself insane. Exactly. So yeah, that's top 500 where everyone is a Chad. Where the is the, I wish I could like quickly find the tier list because I want to show you the tier list. But yeah, looksmaxing, sometimes spelled looksmaxing, is any attempt at improving one's appearance. The term originated in the PSL forums. PSL is not Party for Socialism and Liberation, by the way. The word PSL is an initialism for the 3 consecutive forums that substantially overlapped in the user base. PUAhate.com, sluthate.com, and I guess, I don't know what the other one is. L is, okay. As a modification of the maxing suffix used to indicate a form of self-improvement. Yeah, remember this. Yeah, these are like entry levels. Ho-math is entry-level stuff into the far more complex theory of you know, all the inceldom. Guys like Ho-math play a role in you know, they operate in a similar vein. They have the exact same like genetic predeterminist like approach to dating. They look at it as this like rugged marketplace, things like that. And then people move beyond this to the theory, okay? Yes, instead of reading like State and Revolution or whatever, these guys are too busy reading these forums. And it is for a lot of people who are struggling in the dating marketplace, you know, especially when they're young, they think this is like world secrets that they're arriving at, like deep hidden truths that they are figuring out. And it's very exciting for them, okay? It's also, it also takes the stress away from the individual, right? It takes the stress away from the individual. It makes them feel like there is a systematic disenfranchisement that's taking place, but the systematic disenfranchisement is genetically predetermined, okay? It's a way to cope. It's somewhat comforting. And instead of looking at this from a, you know, materialist worldview and having that be your starting position, it's a very comforting worldview that turns into, this is so LA, brother. I'm going to let you know, if you have any younger siblings or relatives or whatever living in Ohio, they have broached this subject matter. Okay. I would say that at this point, this is not very LA at all. This is everywhere. Every young boy under a certain age has encountered this kind of thing. I just told you that TikTok basically normalized this kind of attitude pretty aggressively. So yeah, you're wrong. This is absolutely all over high schools, maybe even all the way down to like kindergartens, you know? And it's global. It's not just in America either. Straight up. And there are different variants that are culturally different because every culture has like different, every culture has different cultural expectations, societal expectations that divide along gender lines. And so, you know, there are more aggressive versions of this in other countries, but there are absolutely people doing a similar thing in other places like South Korea, Japan, even China, I suspect, to a certain degree, despite the firewall. So, yeah, looksmaxing. Soft maxing is a subset of looksmaxing that concerns non-invasive and cheap methods to improve one's looks. Examples of soft maxing are dietary changes, you know, getting lean after adopting a healthy lifestyle. The use of certain over-the-counter supplements that are purported to or have been proven to improve certain aspects of aesthetics, such as supplements that can improve the color and tone of one's skin, such as carotenoids like beta-carotene and astaxanthin, supplements that can improve overall skin quality or improve wrinkles, such as collagen and peptides, the supplements that are claimed to improve hair and nail quality, such as biotin, with there only being evidence of biotin serving to alleviate the hair loss caused by a serious deficiency of this mineral. Working out in the gym to get muscular, running, cycling. So notice that like there is actually this unhealthy obsession. They've turned something that is objectively healthy, something that I talk about all the time, self-improvement, into an objectively unhealthy endeavor. The idea of black pill and determinism when it comes to dating is very crazy, but in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with maximizing the way you look. Giving the advice, just be confident, to someone who is obese and ugly, this is fixable, is a disservice to them. Yeah, this is the problem though, because there's an unhealthy way to approach self-improvement, and then there's a healthy way to approach self-improvement. If you are talking about like, you know, this is basically the opposite of people who get mad at me every time I talk about my own personal fitness journey or my own personal dietary habits and say, you're fat shaming, you're actually being a fat shamer, and you're not being woke, and you're going to give everybody a eating disorder if you talk about like self-improvement in any vein, in any capacity. This is the maximized version of that in a much less healthy attitude around that on the self-improvement side. This is why I said it's very, yeah, you're fat phobic, you know, that kind of thing. This is quite literally the other side of that same coin of just like looking at this with black and white thinking. I arrived at this community from the looksmaxing community because you have good style. Oh, thank you. In any case, hard looksmaxing involves more invasive or hazardous methods of enhancing one's physical appearance. Injecting or taking orally anabolic steroids to improve one's muscle building capabilities far beyond what would be possible naturally. Other substances like anabolic effects or weight loss drugs, such as the use of bronchodilator clenbuterol, which is for horses, like horse asthma medicine, but it's a steroid, to improve body composition, to lose body fat and lose weight, or the use of potentially dangerous stimulants like ephedrine for weight loss. SARMs would also fall in this category. Bleaching one's skin or using other chemicals to whiten one's skin, various forms of plastic surgery, fillers, laser scar removal, Botox, etc. Preventing male pattern hair loss with the anti-androgenic 5-alpha reductase enzyme inhibitor drugs such as finasteride or dutasteride. Hair regrow agents like minoxidil could also be included in this category. I like that I'm a hard looksmaxxer because I take finasteride and minoxidil. Okay? There is a wide range here, don't you think, between taking a prescribed medicine that is FDA approved versus literally taking anabolic steroids. But anyway, yes. Do you understand why this is very like this? The irony is a lot of these guys are right wing, okay? And they find themselves to be very right wing and have these like hardline approaches. They feel like aesthetics determine everything, and your aesthetics are determined by your genetics. And there's no other way around that, right? But it's also literally the most trans website of all time. This is like, these are the same people who would tell trans people to kill themselves, but this is literally DIY okay? This is unironically DIY gender affirming care that is, you know, going above and beyond in a very unhealthy fashion, which is ironic because gender affirming care or gender confirmation is unironically good and healthy for trans people. So, in any case, controversial looksmaxing methods. Mewing, a practice that supposedly improves facial bones, such as the position of the maxilla through adopting the correct tongue posture. Bone smashing, a practice that supposedly relies on Wolff's Law that states that bones adapt to stress by becoming stronger to improve bone structure. Basically striking yourself in the face in the belief that this will remold your facial bones. This is a real thing, for the record. They literally do this. Clavicular used to do this with like a little hammer. It's not even a joke. NoFap, i.e. stopping masturbation for various purposes like improving brain receptors or improving the hormonal profile. Thumb pulling, a practice that some users claim to increase forward growth and nation projection by mimicking the pulling force of orthodontic appliances with your hands at home. What? Forward growth and nation projection? What the I don't even know what this is. Oh, to fix your teeth? Is that what it? Okay. The assumption that various over-the-counter supplements like vitamin K and MK4 form can have dramatic effects in reshaping one's facial bones. Surgery maxing in the looksmaxing communities is commonly argued that much of the time in order to ascend, ugly men need to undergo plastic surgeries. The least invasive surgeries are autoplasty, rhinoplasty, and facial implants, often jaw and chin implants. That is, I can't believe they say this is the least invasive, by the way. You know what a jaw implant looks like? I saw someone on my For You page. They literally break your jaw and they add these like additional implants, and then your teeth for like 6 months is so wide. You have a massive teeth gap, and then you have to literally wear crazy corrective what do you call it? Like you have to wear a what's it called again? I'm forgetting the name now. They're like more aggressive than regular braces, but I don't know. It's not even like a retainer, but you have to wear like crazy corrective braces on your teeth. Okay. However, this might not be enough for men who have recessed facial bones. In these cases, maxillofacial surgery is often argued the only way to substantially improve their appearances. So yeah, more uncommonly, some advocate for radical practices like tranny maxing, i.e. becoming male to female transgender. That is insane, dude. That is insane. You're either trans or you're not. This is the unhealthy thing that I was talking about, okay? Money maxing to escape inceldom. Oh, but once again, the very fact that it is it's incredibly and deeply transphobic as well. Stop coping. You were an incel in the past for sure. Stop taking the moral high ground. This is your most knowledgeable subject area, unironically. I love that this is first of all, if that was the case, which it isn't, why would I hide it? Okay? No, the reason why I have extensive knowledge in the subject is because I've been talking about incredibly niche right-wing attitudes and right-wing communities for the last 12 years of my political commentary career. Okay? Nah, you changed for sure, but you browsed this shit in the past. No, this is not. I'm not embarrassed about having positions in the past that are reactionary. I've talked about them, whether it be misogyny or even transphobia, for example. This is not like this is after I became a fully fledged adult, and therefore, if I was younger, if I was like right now, if I was 26, I would have 100% found myself in the throes of this kind of shit. Okay. But the reason why I'm very knowledgeable on it is because I've been covering this stuff for years. And also, I don't even have a problem admitting, like if I was a part of this, I wouldn't have a problem admitting that at all. I often talk about how one of the most important aspects of one of the most important things that I believe in is the concept of, you might call it ascension. I call it rehabilitation. Okay. Changing yourself. I believe in self-improvement. It's a big part of my worldview. It's a big part of what guides me. It's a big part of what motivates me. It's a big part of what I try to instill on others. Okay. You can call it ascension if you want to call it that. In any case, my goal always in this space, whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, is to try to get people to have healthier attitudes around self-improvement. Something that I was able to achieve for myself that others can as well. Whether it be improving the way you see the world, changing the way you see the world, developing more empathy for others, or whether it be even self-improvement in the physical realm as well, in the physical space as well. Knowledge maxing, gym maxing, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So, why did I bring up all this? Because, like I said,